And regrettably, the story in birds is about the same. Some really good work done by Ken Rosenberg and his colleagues show that since 1970, we seem to have lost about 3 billion birds in North America. And if we look at this, which is the western forest, this is the best example, about a 30% reduction. And I mean, I first came here in the mid-1970s, but we lived here until about 15 years ago. I've been out here a fair bit recently, and the birds are down. You don't really have to be paying attention. So, a couple other weird things. I looked at all of our native wildlife in the Upper Bow. Sorry, this is in Alberta. I just wanted to compare it to cats and dogs and horses. And so cats, dogs, and horses, we got 136 million kilograms of dogs, cats, and horses, and 87 in every single native wildlife mammal. I mean, our pets outweigh our wildlife by 56%, not including any humans or any livestock. And we like our birds. So we've got about 850,000 in Alberta, weigh about 3.2 million kilograms altogether. Here's where they live. I mean, what's not to like about a cat? So using some data from the Bird Canada database and simulating them, and this includes ones that are both outside and ones that are inside because it's weighted across. We're killing 4.5 million birds per year by cats in the province of Alberta, basically equivalent to number of people. And we need to be thinking at Bragg Creek about people that like watching nature, bird watching, and they spend significant amounts of money. You can even go onto the web, and Bragg Creek is advertised as a good place to go and watch birds. People are spending millions of dollars in Bragg Creek, in the Upper Bow Basin, on observing birds. But that bird community is failing us. So if we look at land use history through time, yeah, there's been a trade-off. So we need land use, forestry, energy, agriculture, transportation, residential, but we're losing something. So that leads us to a conversation about triple bottom line, managing for economic, environmental, and social. We've been talking about it for decades. We don't do it. People need to understand the ecological goods and services that natural systems provide us. We can't live without them. They're critical. They're measured in the billions of dollars, and we don't incorporate them into the way we think about land use. Some of you will recognize this guy. Passed away a few years ago. Harvey Buckley used to be a counselor in Rocky View, and he did recognize it. And so he asked us to do some work on natural capital and ecological goods and services. Alan Brakey was a big supporter of that project. And so I wanted to show you a little bit about that. But he was basically asking the question is, what is our natural capital? What's it worth? Where's it found? How's it doing today compared to, say, 100 years ago? So we looked at water quality, water supply, carbon, and tourism, and examined how these natural capitals feed into our system and give us the quality of life that we have. And I'm not going to go through all of the list from pollination to decomposition to cleaning our water, but this is an attempt to monetize natural capital and see how it is affecting our bottom line economically. And I'm just going to show a few. This is on water quality. And this is the Upper Bow. So we have lost about $10 million a year, every single year, because of our land uses. And that's what it would cost us to take that water that has excessive nitrogen, phosphorus, and other components and clean it. And here's where we'll be in 70 years, about $75 million a year. What we've done is said, okay, this is using current practices, and this is looking at best practices, and we can make a chunk of that, 75, we can basically make $55 million of damage disappear by adopting best management practices. So we need to adopt best management practices. In terms of carbon, which is so critical, it's degrading. And in 70 years, we're going to be losing, we'll have lost about $200 million per year of the value of carbon. but yet adoption of better practices can mitigate some of that away. It doesn't change the slope of the line in terms of its direction, it just changes how steep. And what about recreation? It's exceptionally valuable. I mean, we're talking about what? $1.35 billion a year, and it's degrading through time. And best management practices with forestry and energy and agriculture and transportation can improve it. So I could